Isn't it really scary they made the Master Chief straight? Like, why'd they do that?
We just don't know why. We don't know why they did that.
What was going through the inner mechanisms of 343's mind to make the Master Chief straight?
Joe Biden called Frank O'Connor and said, if the Master Chief has his boyfriend, the Arbiter, in this show, we are bringing the full might of the U.S. military to petition you to stop making this show.
Franco Biden put a new law in forcing everyone in the Halo universe to be straight. Anyway, okay, so normal intro. Hello, everyone. I'm Nat. With me is Jamie. Say hello, Jamie.
Hi, I'm Jamie.
We're going to be talking about the freaking Halo show, which just ended its second season. How long ago was that? That was like, what, a week, 2 weeks ago?
According to my watch, several years ago it ended.
I'm so old. Anyway, yeah, so basically we're just going to kind of ramble on through some topics that we think are important about the Halo show. Starting with basically how we think the show would be better without Chief. Oh, go ahead.
I don't know how to put this, okay? For starters, I think Pablo is a good actor. I think he's a fine actor. I legitimately think he's a pretty terrible chief. And 343 has done this sort of before, or I guess not 343 specifically, but people trying to adapt Halo, like Forward Unto Dawn, have tried to make like younger versions of Chief that sound different or look different and stuff like that, because the one we see in the games is sort of the veteran of all these conflicts. But that doesn't work in the Halo show, because the Halo show ostensibly takes place like months before the original game of Halo CE. And I'm sorry, but in CE, he's a cool and collected dude. In the Halo show, this guy's got mommy issues.
Whiny McBabyface, yeah. Which is a normal thing to say, by the way.
I think so too.
This is a normal thing to call a grown man at all times.
I don't like his interactions with Halsey. I don't like his interactions with Cortana. I think on occasion, Pablo nails it. There's a few scenes in the show, like I remember there's a scene where Cortana's like opening doors for him remotely, and Chief just stares at a bunch of like Oni scientists and like smirks, and like that was good. That was sort of like that was a facial movement the Master Chief from the games would have if they showed his face. That was fine.
Mm-hmm. The thing is, like, I don't disagree with the sentiment of Master Chief can't have his helmet like on at all times. Like, I understand why they obviously have the Master Chief's helmet off so much. It's just too much. Because
yeah.
Like, obviously you want the actor to have some screen time. Obviously you want the actor to show off some of his acting chops. Obviously you want some of that. It was just too much. It was just too much in the season, in both seasons. It was just clearly too un-Master Chiefy.
My take about the Master Chief also is a lot of people say that statement of like, oh, you can't have a show where the lead character never shows their face. Well, one, The Mandalorian just came out, and a lot of people's complaints with The Mandalorian was that they ended up showing his face. A lot of people just wanted it to be sort of an anonymous character. You really don't see that too often in movies or TV, and I really do legitimately think, like, the silver screen is married to the idea far more than it needs to be. People love helmets. People love concealed characters. The mystery, the intrigue, and how little you get of it in this show. But I think the main point here, because we're sort of going over some talking points, some vague notes that we wrote about the show. The show is better without Chief. Silver Team? I loved Silver Team. A lot of the supporting cast is really strong, and they are legitimately held back by, I don't know whether it's Pablo's performance or if it's Pablo's direction he was given, but I think that he could play a pretty convincing generic Spartan who is fighting in the Human Covenant War. Like in the early days or the late days, I don't care. But as the Master Chief, it really weakens the entire show, because you have people who have played the games and are seeing this character and raising their eyebrows saying, this is a little different from the guy I played with my toys Halo 3. And you have people who are coming in who, let's say hypothetically, there are people who have not played the games who are watching the Halo show for some reason, and they're seeing this whiny super soldier, and they're gonna say, why do people like the Halo games? This guy seems like an asshole.
That was like my sister, like, because I watched this with my family, believe it or not. It was kind of absolutely hilarious to watch this with my family. But that was my sister's exact reaction. She was like, who? This is not the Master Chief. Like, she hasn't even completely played the games in full yet, and she was like, this, I can tell that this is not the Master Chief. This is not how the Master Chief behaves. And this entire show has made me wonder if I have been too harsh on Halo Legends when I first watched it. And granted, it's been 10 plus years since I've watched Halo Legends. I'm actually planning on watching it again here soon. But I remember back then thinking to myself, oh, I didn't like Halo Legends for just random reasons. I believe I was just a freaking child at the time anyway. It was 2010 or 2009, around that time. I feel like when I rewatch Halo Legends, I'm going to realize how important these original characters that they're introducing in Halo Legends are. Like, all of these, like, I do remember certain moments from, like, the babysitter and how epic the ODSTs were and their reactions at the Spartans. We need more of that. We need so much more perspectives of Halo in its beautiful universe, you know?
Like, it was Halo Legends and also the animated comic series they did on YouTube a bunch of years back. Maybe that was Evolutions, but specifically the Headhunter short. Yeah, like the Mona Lisa Headhunter short, that like a series of short stories that got turned into motion comics.
Yeah.
Stuff like that fills out the Halo universe without requiring the constant point of view of the Master Chief, which, mind you, this show constantly switches point of view to a lot of characters. Some of them are even good. Kai, Riz, the third Silver Team member.
Vanek!
I
know him.
Vanek.
He likes birds.
They didn't do enough with Vanek, I would argue.
No,
but
they did not.
Kai and Riz both got, like, full character arcs, and then Vanek had, like, one really good moment at the beginning of Season 2, and then, spoiler warning, he does not last that long into Season 2.
Yeah. It is just fascinating how you almost that one episode, and I guess, I'll put a spoiler warning at the beginning of the video as well. It is a little fascinating, that one episode where, like, he gets his scene with the birds that he's looking at, and he's like, he named his birds. And in retrospect, looking at that scene, I'm like, oh, they just put a red shirt on him. They just did that, didn't they? That's like his... he was marked for death the moment he named the birds. This is so sad.
I kind of saw what they were doing. After Vanek died, I kind of saw what they were doing in the sense that, oh, the Master Chief is a lone wolf from Halo 1 to 4, basically. So, by that metric, like, oh, we gotta get rid of his team somehow, if we are sort of loosely following the events up to CE, you know? Like, Chief starts CE with nobody. With Linda kinda being here and there if you read the books or remember them from when you read them as a kid, which I don't remember, but I know she was asleep during the events of Halo CE. Or wounded? No, it was definitely wounded.
And wounded.
And I kind of get what they're doing, because at the very end of Season 2, they sort of mirror that dynamic a little, where Chief is kind of the last man standing, and his only other teammate is probably should be dead, but I'm very glad that she's not, considering the fact that, like, Silver Team are really compelling characters compared to a lot of the other people on this show. Some compelling characters that I actually did like, but have an opinion on, obviously, is Keyes and Miranda. Yeah, they changed it from the original games. No, I'm not putting on my big culture war boots and jumping into the trenches and whining like a baby. I'm whining like a baby for a different reason. Those actors are really good. Keyes and Miranda's actors are really good. And it's my same thought with the Master Chief. If you had just made these original characters instead, not only would you have, like, dodged the bullet coming from the culture warriors who complain every time that there is a character altered in any way, you would have also had the opportunity to take these characters in different, more unique directions. Mind you, they did end up getting rid of Captain Keyes a little bit early in his, I guess what do you call it? Like the Silver Timeline? They call it the Silver Timeline, don't they? Well, they ended up...
in the Silver Timeline, he's an Admiral, fake Halo fan.
Oh, shit, I guess I am a fake Halo fan. Damn.
Yeah, I know. Axe
Wait,
for you.
If he was an admiral, wasn't he ever doing, like, any admiral stuff?
Know.
There wasn't, like, a single
know.
fleet scene in this entire show.
He was...
The thing about Keyes is, ironically, at the end of the day, I really do think, like, with how they used him and how little they actually sort of incorporated fleet combat into the show or its relevance against the Covenant, Keyes really did act more like a ground commander than, like, a fleet admiral or a captain of any kind, you know? Like, I really do feel like he would have maybe fit the role of Sergeant Johnson. Like, in Season 1, no. But in Season 2, when the Covenant are on Reach and Keyes is giving the speech that they show off in the trailer, like, if I'm being honest, your average admiral in any situation isn't going to, like, be on the ground fighting side by side with their troops. That's just not realistic. That's fun for sci-fi movies or Starship Trooper levels of propaganda, but no, an admiral is not going to pick up a gun and fight alongside his brave fellow soldiers to the bitter end. That's not really what they do generally. They're somewhere safe in a bunker. And you could argue that that's what Reach was and the bunker was overrun, but oh boy, the fall of Reach kind of starts and stops in, like, the episodes that it is featured. There are moments when the planet seems to be overrun. There are moments when it's like there's no Covenant anywhere, and Chief and his friend Corporal Lady. And here's the problem. Corporal Lady, the character from the very first episode who Chief saves from the energy sword elites, I actually like her arc. Her arc of starting saved by Chief and ending up as a Spartan 3, really interesting. Perez, that's right.
Perez actually was one of the highlights of this entire season for me.
Yes, literally. I always just remembered her as Corporal Lady just because I'm bad with names in any TV show. So that one I can't knock the Halo show for. The only reason I know the names of, like, Keyes and Miranda is because they've been my buddies for years. I saw them in Halo 1 and 2.
It was funny because this entire, like, through the beginning of Season 2, I was thinking to myself, okay, so where's Miranda? Really liked...
I thought they wrote her out.
Really liked them a lot. Yeah, me too. And because there was, like, a throwaway line that Halsey gave that was like, oh, Miranda's just off doing things. And I'm like, oh, shit, we're not going to see Miranda. But then, when her character finally came on screen, I was like, oh, thank God. Someone I enjoy.
Seriously, no, I was the same exact way. Maybe at the end of Season 1, there was, like, some scene about, like, Miranda being moved to do, like, secret work that Halsey used to do. I vaguely remember that. If there was or wasn't, I don't remember it fully. But no, I was the same way. I thought that throwaway line was them writing Miranda out of the show, and I was, like, actually disappointed because I really liked Miranda. Like, the weird family dynamic between Miranda, Keyes, and Halsey was something that actually worked in this show. The weird family dynamic between Halsey and Chief didn't work at all.
No.
And putting that type of plotline to the silver screen and not having the conclusion of, we should probably throw Dr. Halsey in jail forever is interesting. Because the entire show is sort of conflicted around the idea of Dr. Halsey, as Halo as a franchise is as well, because 1, she invented the superheroes. 2, oh, but she did bad things to invent the superheroes. And it's like, hey, Halo 4 put this succinctly. Halo 4 put this conversation to rest in the sense that Dr. Halsey did not create the Spartans to fight the Covenant. She created them to fight human insurrectionists. And we don't see a lot of Halo media from the perspective of insurrectionists. A lot of the time when we see their perspective, they are sort of like cartoonishly evil, Marvel-esque flag smashers, you know? Like, we're the rebels, and we're tired of oppression, so we're gonna blow up anything in our way. And yeah, sure, that's what the insurrectionists are doing, and yeah, in general, like, rebellions, both realistic and science fiction fantasy, wouldn't be pretty things, you know? It's the nature of war. But pretending that the UNSC is completely innocent of that, like this show wants to do, is, how do I put that? Not great. And I think that's a good segue to one of our various elephants in the room, our good friend Kwan Ha.
Yippee, Kwan Ha! It's funny because when you look at a character like Kwan Ha and you look at a character like Halsey, they're both clearly characters that are in a gray area, and this show does not, at least mostly in the first season, I will say mostly in the first season, seems to not understand how to handle gray areas, and it's very strange. Like, there's a lot of like, this is good, this is bad, and when it tries to get into the nuance, it very much does not know how to handle it.
Yes, exactly.
It's really frustrating, and Kwan Ha Kwan Ha's a great example of a gray area that was handled pretty poorly in season 1, like very poorly, like holy crap. And then season 2 was like surprisingly, I was like, okay, wait, you're actually doing something compelling with this character now, and playing with that gray area, and actually respecting that gray area, and it was clearly in its favor.
In season 1, they very much didn't know how to sort of portray an interstellar war where the UNSC was this like imperial power and its like former colonies were like trying to split off. Because, I mean, if you're American and you need to frame everything in your mind through the idea of American history, you know, pretend the UNSC, imagine them all as British for a second, and now imagine like the Madrigal, imagine they're those like pilgrims or whatever who are setting up their beautiful straw houses, and oh no, King whatever wants his damn tea tax or something. My point is, in season 1, the sort of UNSC installed dictator of Madrigal was a very interesting plot point, but it absolved the UNSC and like Halsey, Paranosky, the Master Chief, of relevance to that story, and made a very hard divide between the parts of the show that were about Kwan Ha and SOREN versus the parts of the show which were about the Master Chief, Halsey, and I don't know, thinking about the Covenant. They certainly did a lot of thinking about war, which is, they don't have the budget of a Disney show, I know that. But if you're going to talk about the insurrectionists, if you're going to talk about human conflict, you can start your show with the Spartans versus the Covenant. But it would have been really interesting to actually see some Spartans versus insurrectionist conflict, and sort of actually see on the battlefield how that gray area manifests, how the idea of the Spartans as these terrifying mechanical killers sort of arises. And like, yeah, I could see some people saying, I don't want to see the Master Chief shoot rebels. He's not Darth Vader. He's the Master Chief. And I would say that, one, maybe that would be a good introduction to Master Chief's inner conflict, which is something the show is interested in. And two, and more importantly, it shouldn't have been the Master Chief. It shouldn't have been the Master Chief. One thing I realized after watching this show was that if you had the Master Chief in the marketing, you could still have him not be the main character. Have Steve Downes voice him, have him be all over the UNSC's propaganda. They even do that later in Season 2 when they think the Master Chief is lost. They start throwing him on propaganda posters and stuff. That's great. That should have been in the show from Season 1, and he should have been this sort of echo that the main characters want to live up to. This, like, living legend, you know? Because, and this is my big takeaway, the player knows exactly what the Master Chief did. To the player, that is the legend. To the audience who doesn't know the games, wow, who's this Master Chief guy? He's so cool, and I've never heard anything bad about him. I certainly haven't heard about his repeated mommy issues in Season 1, because in this timeline, the gold timeline, we didn't have to focus on that.
if the Spartans were canonically in the Silver Timeline, okay, canonically in the Silver Timeline is like a weird way to put that. In the Silver Timeline, if the Spartans have a pellet that suppressed their emotions, that it would almost make more sense if the Spartans fought insurrectionists with no emotions, because like they have an inhibitor that really keeps those emotions at bay and like forces them to not think. Would that not have fit a little bit more into the show?
Yeah.
And for the record, it would have been far more compelling. Wait a second. You know what just struck me?
What?
Season 1, Episode 1. What is the point of the emotional inhibitor if Chief like still cares about Kwan Ha? What was the point? What is the point of the emotional inhibitor in general? Straying from our outline a little bit, I do not think I understand the emotional inhibitor because it feels like nothing really changes once they take it out. I apologize for the straying, but
No. It's I completely understand, but I have a great answer for you. It's because Halsey is an idiot. She did it wrong.
You fricked it up, Halsey. You flipped it up so hardcore.
No, but you are right. Like, that in itself doesn't make sense. If you wanted to have the sort of opening episode be the Master Chief ostensibly accidentally rescues an insurrectionist's, like, daughter, right? And then is ordered to kill her, but doesn't? Where is he getting this sense of guilt or duty from? If this is, like, somewhat similar to the, like, Halo timeline, the Spartans were still created to put down human insurrection. Chief has done this before, unless he's already taken his inhibitor out. And maybe that's a later season reveal. The rest of Silver Team starts getting on his ass for, hey, why'd you let that random lady live? What the hell is up with you, Chief? You've been looking at photos and crying and having emotions. We're not supposed to do that. And maybe the reveal there is that prior to the season starting, the Chief already took his pellet out or something. And maybe he tries to convince his team to do it as well. I don't know.
The only thing I can think of is because he touched that Forerunner object, but that's a really kind of crappy cop-out. That's
a really stupid connection.
Because that's like makes it very loose about what that Forerunner object even does in the first place. Like that is such a what's the term for it? It's such a thing that exists to move the plot along and nothing else.
Yeah,
MacGuffin. Yeah, thank you.
Also, if he developed feelings because of the Forerunner object, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense because the Forerunners weren't really empathetic characters, I don't think. They did not care so much about the plight of those that they saw as lesser than them, so much as they cared about keeping them from destroying the universe, because the Forerunners saw themselves as, like, intergalactic hall monitors, basically. They were not so much gardeners as they were, the universe was their panopticon. Don't fucking piss off the Forerunners.
Now, to kind of switch up some things a little bit, I did want to talk about Spartan 3s a little bit more, just real quick going on. It's been a hot second since I've read Ghosts of Onyx. I still really enjoyed what they did with the Spartan 3s. I liked a lot of the futility that you felt with the Spartan 3s. Like, I liked when they were like, What's the name of this guy that's in charge of the ship that's about to attack the Covenant? And they're like, Sergeant, what's his name? And so you make that connection. You think like, okay, so Sergeant what's his name is a character, and he's about to fight the Covenant. And he's like, okay, and then he fucking dies, and then he explodes to hell.
Yeah,
and it's actually like, oh shoot, because if I recall, in Ghosts of Onyx, was there not a few chapters or a chapter that introduced a few Spartan 3 characters and killed them off immediately?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Is that not something that happened?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure in like Ghosts of Onyx or wherever the Spartan 3s were introduced, like one of their introductory scenes was literally most of them getting mowed down by like a single like Seraph strafing run happening.
Something like that.
Really, really well adapted into the show, sort of like. The idea of expendable Spartans, really well used. While we're on the topic of Spartan 3s, there is obviously a character deeply related to them. Welcome to the show, our best friend, Ackerson.
Yippee, Jack Offerson!
It's Jack Overson.
It's Jack Ackerson.
This-
Everybody say hello.
Here's the thing. As is the sort of method with a lot of shows like this, Ackerson ends the season in a more empathetic place than he began the season in. My real question is, oh my gosh, it's so bad. It's so bad. Okay, this is probably one of like the actual greatest flaws of the show. For most of the season, he is sort of like this cunning general who fucks with his enemies politically and moves pieces around cleverly to like get what he wants, you know? And he hates Halsey for various ethical or possibly jealousy reasons. And Ackerson's, air quotes, life work, even though I'm pretty sure that in the show it's a series of few months, is the Spartan 3s. He says it's his life work. And what they are sort of trying to do with Ackerson is present a villain at the beginning of the season and someone you can kind of understand at the end. The problem is, while he has Dr. Halsey in custody, he routinely sends clones of his sister, who was kidnapped as a child, to be a Spartan. He sends these clones to Halsey to take care of her and to play chess with her, or something. And every day, the clones die, because they are Flash clones. Halsey is trying to comfort them and get more information on Ackerson, but they all die too soon. Now, everything else I said is sort of like normal, shitty scientist admiral stuff. This last thing that I added on here is something that a guy who builds saw traps would do. How is this character like a cunning manipulator, but also he dabbles in clone saw traps to just dick with one old woman? Like, after the clone torture scenes, he gets like this scene that's supposed to make you really feel for him, where he's saying goodbye to his dad, who clearly like has dementia and is gonna be left on Reach. And you're supposed to like really think, wow, I misjudged Ackerson. He really is doing things for a reason. Then what with the clone torture, huh? What was the reason behind the clone murder? Because he didn't get any information out of Halsey. In fact, he wasn't trying to interrogate her. It was just a prison he made for her, where he was incidentally repeatedly killing his own sister that he apparently blamed Halsey for dying. Even though, in terms of how many times who's killed whose sister, Ackerson's killed his own sister more than Halsey has now.
Oh my god, you're so right. Twisted psychopath.
Like, it was a very clumsy move for a character, and Season 2 made some clumsy moves with its characters, even though as a whole, it was far better than Season 1. Another sort of like misstep they made was SOREN. I really like SOREN. But there is a scene in Season 2 where him and his wife end up in Thermopylae, a training ground for young Spartans. Basically, because the UNSC is so deeply ethical, they send children into a big dark room and then have men with sticks come hit them with the sticks until they become Spartans. I don't know how this helps them. I think this would just upset the tiny Spartans. But SOREN's child has been taken by the UNSC, and they plan on making him another Spartan. I don't know if it's going to be a Spartan 2 or a Spartan 3, or if this is the origins of the Spartan 4 program, but they are going to smack everyone with sticks until they're all super brave. SOREN sees this and says, well, we did it, wife. We can go home. Our son's going to be a Spartan. And the wife, understandably, says, you're insane. We're going to go rescue our son now, and then I'm gonna probably divorce you, she implies. And he does come around to it. He walks in and starts kicking the shit out of guys, and it's all very brave and heroic. And then the wife and the son get kidnapped mid-battle.
Womp womp.
But the real head-scratcher I have is, in Season 2, for most of the episodes, it is, or not most of the episodes, most of SOREN's arc is getting captured and then looking for his son who was also captured. why would you spend all this time gallivanting across the galaxy looking for your son, and then give up at the very end if you ran from the Spartan program? This is the program that you hated, that fucked up your arm, and you're happy because your son gets another chance at it? What if they fuck up his arm too? What if he blows up during basic training? It's really dumb. This guy's ostensibly a pirate leader, and he just, like, furrows his eyebrows and thinks deeply, maybe I do want my son to become, like, a state-sanctioned super soldier and probably be sent to kill me one day. Maybe that would build character.
It's like Calvin's dad. It's like Calvin's dad from Calvin and Hobbes. It's like, it'll build character. But no, seriously, it's like, it is really frustrating because the show tries very hard, seasons 1 and 2, to stress how messed up the Spartan 2 program is. And like, that's one thing, is it's like, it doesn't play with the gray areas very well. It very much demonizes the Spartan 2s in every way possible. And then Soren's like, oh yeah, this is fine. He's gonna be a Spartan. It's like, what?
Yeah. You see one thing I'll hand them is you see a lot of ethical conundrums in the show. Very rarely are they sort of like handled super well, but you do see a lot of them debating the existence of Spartan 2s in general. And I guess if you really wanted to make the argument, psychologically, you could say there's more going on with Soren than meets the eye. Maybe the show is trying to imply some depth and like conflict to him internally, but I really don't think it worked, is my problem. I, the viewer, did not believe it, and I thought it was silly. I thought it was kind of like some last-minute conflict cooked up for a scene where he needed to argue with his wife. And mind you, Soren's wife is never wrong.
I think that is how this show just goes, is that it introduces so many very cool concepts, so many absolutely fascinating ideas that I'm like, yes, this needs to be addressed. This should have been, I'm so glad this is being addressed in a real mainstream Halo piece of media, because you could talk about the books and how much they explore it in the books, and I'm like, general populace isn't going to read those books. I'm sorry. Take the most recent Halo book that came out about the didact now, and how many people are going to read that? And now take how many people watched the finale of the Halo show. There's a stark difference there. So you need to remember that this show takes these awesome concepts that are really compelling, really good, and does not do them well.
No, you're right.
Does not follow through on these concepts the way it should, and it is so frustrating to know that you are so close. That you are so close to these awesome questions that are being proposed by the Halo universe be answered, or at least have some kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Some kind of closure with it, or conclusion, or just something. You don't even need a conclusion, because it's not like there are real firm answers to any of the questions that it presents. You just want something. And what you get is trash. Yeah.
You've given me an excellent segue to circle back and hit 3 of our points in one fell swoop. So I do thank you for that. We got a little bit off track from the initial thing, which was the here in our bullet points we have something that just says Kwan Ha's potential. We are not in the Kwan Ha hate club, because again, people online being mad is usually split into 2 groups. People who can see media being a little bit crap and understand that that's often not one random actress's fault inside the media, and 2, everyone who does think that. So, if you're in the Kwan Ha hate group, I don't trust you. You're probably weird. However, this bullet point is labeled Kwan Ha's potential, which is to say, kind of squandered, which also leads into 2 other characters that are right next to her in our list, Maki and Atriox, of all people. Yes, he was in the Halo show, he was in season 1, but Maki, Kwan, and Atriox all represent the same thing. Wasted potential. In Kwan Ha, you have the daughter of a prominent insurrectionist. In Maki, you have a human on the Covenant side, and in Atriox, you have a just a Covenant alien that is questioning his beliefs in the Covenant. You wouldn't know that from the show, but if you're a Halo fan, Atriox becomes relevant later.
It's a side character that'll help us later. Sorry.
This is a surprise character that will hurt us later.
Yippee!
The point between these three characters is they all sort of share a similar dynamic with the Master Chief as well. These characters are all about, like, questioning their initial side of the war, you know, and they all sort of take it in different ways. Kwan's is basically wasted because she is the daughter of a prominent insurrectionist. She kind of defeats the UNSC on Madrigal. Like, she kills their dictator, which is good, but that doesn't really stop the UNSC from putting in another one, and that doesn't stop the writers of the show from glassing Madrigal off screen, which is what they did, which was really stupid. Maquis is this really interesting idea of what if the Covenant prophets weren't moronic for 5 seconds and captured just like a handful of humans to use for manipulating Forerunner artifacts, you know? It's a very interesting dynamic of Maquis is constantly sort of ashamed of who she is because she's human. She's human in a society of aliens, and she is quite literally just a tool of the prophets, and most of the Covenant just want to kill her. In Season 2, they go into that. In Season 1, they kind of leave it a little bit, and she doesn't interact with many Covenant aside from the prophets and some hunters that she's given at one point. In Season 2, they sort of go into the dynamic of most of the Covenant fucking hates her guts. They want to just stab her with lightsabers and shit. Maquis' maneuvering of the situations that get her through these scenarios, you know? Those were good scenes in Season 2. When Maquis was trying to get the Arbiter and his men not to just stab her outright, with the help of Cortana, that was all really good. Maquis even ends up betraying Cortana at the end, which, you know, duh, you would. But it was still really good to see Maquis being a little stinker. I like her. I like a lot of things about Maquis. She's like a mustache-twirling villain in the Halo show. One thing I don't like about Maquis is... Here he is again, everybody. Welcome back to the show, Pablo.
Yippee. Oh, yeah. Sorry, Pablo. We don't hate you as a person. We're not too thrilled about with the show. Sorry about that.
We don't like how they wrote your character, Pablo. I'm sorry because
sorry, bro.
I know you get a lot of feedback about the show, and obviously ours is the one you're going to be watching, so I have genuine information for you, Pablo. You ruined my childhood with this one, Pablo. I hope you feel sorry. No, I don't care. I'm some age. I'm well-adjusted. I'm complaining about this because it's fun to complain about.
We're normal.
We're not up here telling you, the audience, to pick up your pitchforks and boycott whatever platform this show was released on. We're just saying, show's not very good. Could be better. Take all of our complaints as constructive criticism. Quite frankly, getting any amount of mad over casting choices in a TV show, as long as the actors are good people, is very silly. Pablo was not the best fit for the Master Chief, but honestly, the best fit for the Master Chief was already in the games. And the silver screen doesn't really like that answer. They did the same thing with Mario. If you had told me that Chris Pratt was going to be Mario, I would have thought that was a joke from Control-Alt-Delete. That's ridiculous. That is very silly. Chris Pratt is a good voice actor from the Lego Movie, and he can do silly characters, like from The Office, but I have not liked him in anything else.
Real quick, I'm so sorry. I'm obligated to say Parks and Rec.
That's the one.
I'm so sorry.
Well, my credibility's been ruined. I am being kicked off the podcast. Goodbye, everybody.
So there is so much about this show that is compelling. And that is the stuff that comes from the Halo universe. And it is never been more frustrating to see the compelling be misused and misrepresented and just kind of crapped on. And that's honestly one of the reasons why I feel like this is one of my least liked shows of all time. And it's a Halo show. If you went back and told me from I don't know, 2009 when I first started getting into Halo. Hey, there's gonna be a Halo show, and it's gonna suck. You would like, that would be like the worst feeling ever. And it's just, it is so frustrating to see these wonderful characters and these wonderful new characters and this wonderful universe be portrayed in such a difficult way. And that is why I'll probably never go back and rewatch this. And that is probably why I don't even know if I'm gonna watch season 3. I probably will.
You have to. I'm not suffering through that alone, Nat. You think I'm gonna let you worm your way out of this one? No.
You're
no.
So right. We're gonna suffer together.
Look at the fucking. Go back. Look at how much I talked during your show. I will have as many thoughts. I need to get these out of my body, Nat. You are not letting me watch this alone.
You need to secrete more opinions.
I need to secrete my gamer opinions, or I'm gonna die. Don't let me die.
Oh no, we have to let it out. I don't know. This sounds weird. Oh well. Okay, my throat's starting to go, but all right, everybody. Thank you very much for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, all that jazz, and I will see y'all later. Say goodbye, Jamie.
Get scared.
I am.